Hey, everybody. I am so excited. This is the first Minding My Business Mic Drop podcast, and I am super excited about who we have as our first guest on today. And before I dip into that, let me first say, wherever you are chiming in from, and you're going to see me looking down at my phone so I can make sure I get all the comments in real time. Let me know where you are, city and state. Put your country in there. If you're outside of the United States, make sure you give us your questions, your comments, because we are live. So if anything goes left or right, we gonna make it do what it do. Okay. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nishika Melton, and I help you get to the future that you say you want faster. And I do that by helping you identify and discard the unproductive hats that are causing you to be overwhelmed, overstretched, overworked. We get rid of that so that you can get to your future faster. I am your simplified productivity coach and your host for the Minding My Business Mic Drop. So, what I'm going to do now is bring on Mr. Bruce Hill. Let's see if we can bring him on the stage. Bruce.
Hey, I love a live show. Like,
We are
what is it?
live, honey.
Live in color. Live and in
Listen,
color.
however it goes down, it's gonna go down on this evening. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So yes, and thank you so much for being here because I understand you are traveling right now.
I'm actually in Southern England right now. International speaker, 4 times author Bruce Hill. Talk to me nice.
Talk to me nicely. Yes. So Bruce, I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Bruce Hill. I make sell simple. So for professional service businesses, SaaS businesses, entrepreneurs of all ages and stages, I help you hear yes more often without sounding salesy, using the Better Questions framework. So I love what I do. So it's not to become a killer closer or the master manipulator. It's simply to help you grow you so the rest of your business grows around you.
Now you said something master manipulator. You know, when people think about sales, and I no harm, no shade, no disrespect, especially when it comes to car salesmen.
Oh, that's a good example. That's where most people's mind goes. Go ahead, please.
Yes. How do you get that person? How do you get your client to not be the master manipulator?
Well, that's a lovely thing about being in charge is you can decide who you want to work with. And so I really like working with people that love what they do and who they do it for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important part of having success with working with me is you have to be okay with doing what's best for the other person, not at the expense of the other person.
Ooh, see, I need to get some sounds because that right there was a nugget. That was a nugget, not at the expense of the other person. So the other person doesn't have to be your sacrificial lamb, ladies and gentlemen. And WLB said that is powerful. I mean, I felt that all in my shanana. Like the other person, they don't have to be your sacrifice in order to try to make the dollar or the dollars. You say your tagline is I make sales simple.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only person that I've heard say that because for everybody else in the world, she said, now I want to do sales. You done got somebody who said they will never sell anything ready to go. I've never heard anyone say I make sales simple, because for the average person, that's something that is terrifying to know
Do you
that
know
you
why? Do you know why
no,
people are so
please tell me why.
There's three reasons. Most
Okay, look,
people,
I'm getting my pen. Hold on. I'm writing it down. Go ahead.
most people avoid uncertainty,
Hmm.
they avoid judgment, and they avoid rejection. And sales puts you in front of all three. I'm uncertain of what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to think or how they're going to judge me for offering this product or service. And they might just tell me no. And what I found a really beautiful niche is a personal development approach to sales. And I believe if you grow the people, you'll grow the business. So instead of changing who you are, we try to bring a level of clarity, a level of confidence, and improve communication so that working with you becomes the obvious choice and an easy decision. So now all you have to do is find people that you can help, that you can serve with excellence, and educate them on why you're that best choice, and let the rest happen. So I work really well with introverts. I really work well with folks who have zero sales training, and I love working with founders. And I just help them be the best version of themselves. It's just a version of themselves that hears yes more often. So we help them overcome the fear of rejection. We help them bring clarity that removes uncertainty, and that confidence helps them overcome the fear of judgment.
So let's rewind a little bit, because you came out the gate. You wasn't playing. You came out the gate hard. So what brought you into this realm of sales, this life of sales that so many people try to avoid if they at all possibly can?
It started where all great stories start, and I know a lot of people are facing right now. Right, we got fired. People always ask, "Well, what did you do?" But we all did. They sold the company, and so we all were out of jobs. And I remember I called my buddy and asked him, I said, "Where can I go work where if I do more, I get paid more? And if I am better than everyone else, then I get paid better than everyone else." And he said, "Well, that's sales." And I always think about, if he had sold houses, I might be a realtor. Or if he had sold insurance, I might be an insurance broker. Or if he had sold drugs, I could be dead or in jail.
You're right.
So fortunately for all of us, he sold cars. So he told me, "Bruce, go sell cars." And I found a good company, it's ethical, that trained us well. And it was I didn't realize it, but that's paid. If you didn't sell any cars, then you didn't get paid. And what I realized was you can't really convince anyone to purchase anything. You can't really force anyone to do anything. And maybe at one point there was some tactics used to coerce people, and they still have that negative memory, right? Whenever they think of that used car salesman. But what I realized, if I could connect people's desired outcome, whether that's solving a problem or finding a solution, if I could connect purchasing a car with that outcome, then they will buy from me, and they have a good experience, and they tell their friends. People brought their moms. He said, "Hey, my daughter's going to turn 16 in a few months. I want to bring her. I want you to walk her through the process and teach her how to do this the right way." And that's what happens when you work with me, for example, is we put the clients or future clients' needs first, and you start creating referral partners. You can trick some people into buying things. You can coerce people into buying things. I don't believe you can grow a business that way. They're not going to renew. They're not going to leave good reviews. They might leave a review. And friends. Uh-oh, you still with me?
Right. Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. And so I realized, I was like, that's a short-term outcome, right? Let's say close more deals, right? Make more money faster. But I want you to make more money easier. And I want your business to grow longer, not just for when you work with me, you see a spike and increase. And then when it's done, it's back to where it was. I want to create something that is going to have a lasting impact, a positive lasting impact on your business. That's where I created the Better Questions framework.
The Better Questions framework. And you said a lot in explaining that, in explaining your beginning, that you did, like so many people who started their entrepreneurial journey, they were kind of forced in that route. You lost your job. That happens to a lot of different people. And then they're like, okay, well, what can I do next? And what I love about what you're teaching your clients is it's about the longevity, it's about the integrity, and what you're calling referral partners. So for the person who, they may not be an entrepreneur, but they want to know or they want to learn how to better present themselves, because we literally are selling, quote unquote, ourselves every day in regular, just living. We're doing it. People are deciding whether or not they want to be around us, connect to us, all of those things. Is your client just the entrepreneur, or what? Describe for us who your client is.
Great question. So there's two people that I serve well, and there's three ways I serve them. So it's going to be customer facing teams. That could be marketing, customer success teams, or sales teams. And there's going to be people leaders. Two will approach the Better Questions framework differently. So for the leaders, it's going to be decision making and coaching their team members. For those frontline, it's going to be how do we have a better customer interaction, whatever that looks like for that team. So for marketing, that can be conversions or marketing qualified leads. For customer success team, that's renewals. For sales, that's net new revenue. Mm-hmm. And then how I help those two people is through strategy, tools, and training. Most people don't need sales training. They need a sales strategy. And that's really where the Better Questions framework comes in. So I love working with professional service businesses, right? Insurance teams, realtors, architects was a fun project. Productivity coach has been a client. That was really great. And on, right? So I love working with professional service businesses. I love SaaS companies, particularly working with their founders who have to wear a lot of hats. And so they've seen a lot of our success. And I'm really excited. 100% of the people I work with would refer me and have to their friends, family, partner, associates. And 90, I think it's like 94.8% success rate. Everybody sees their money back. There's one that we took a risk on. It was experimental, kind of service. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot along the way. Ultimately, they decided to pivot, and they're doing great now. So I'm really excited for that track record. We can continue to create results for people.
No, that says a lot about not only you, but your process, and that your process, your framework actually makes sense and it works. So being an entrepreneur, we know that it's a roller coaster ride. One of the lies I was sold was that, when you're an entrepreneur, you get to always make your own schedule, and it's just, unicorns and fairies, and you're just living your best life. But nobody talks about those first few years of getting to that best life and how you have to build. So as you've been building this business, what have been a couple of things that you would say knocked the wind out of you?
So first of all, it doesn't have to be up and down. That's a choice. That's based on the choices we make. If you think of, what's a good example? if you just think of having a bicycle, right?
Yes.
And if you have a really small bike and you roll over a bump, you're gonna notice it. But if you're in a larger vehicle, right, there's still wheels, they're still round, so it's not really a new invention. Um, that same bump doesn't bother you so much. And so that's the
Mm.
problem most entrepreneurs run into is they don't have a business, they just have a job that they're in charge of. So they feel those ups and downs a lot more. They don't have to, but they haven't been taught better than that. Let that sink
Ooh,
in.
they don't have a business. They have a job. Come on.
Well, and I'm
Oh,
guilty of that, right? I'm talking to me, but I hope someone's listening.
wow.
What I would rec is buy a business. Don't start from scratch. There's really no reason to. There's 33
Mhm.
million businesses registered in the US. There's no reason to start your own business. Buy a business, you have infrastructure, you have team, and so those ups and downs aren't so up and down.
Mhm.
And that's probably the most important lesson I have for anyone. So I'm excited to build New Skills New You as a professional development agency. Part of the growth strategy for next year is just to buy existing business and scale.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Unless you're inventing something completely new that's never been
Uh-huh.
done before, which
Uh-huh.
most of us are not. Maybe a new approach, but it's not a new idea. There's no
Mhm.
reason it should take years to be successful.
So you're saying do a little bit of research because
Mhm.
there are people that are wanting to actually transition out of their businesses and purchase you're really purchasing the system and what they put into place. So it's about matching the system that would work for you. Am I right in what you're throwing out there?
And that's really it. A system. That's the subtle difference. Systems are scalable.
So we've got a question coming in.
Go ahead.
And they're asking, when you say buy a business, would that also include purchasing franchises?
Um, you have to do what's right for you that matches where you are and where you want to go. So it can, however, come with a set of rules. So you can hedge your bet, if you will, and increase your chance of success and increase the height of your success. But
Mhm.
it'll come with some restrictions. As long as you're okay with those restrictions, you're good to go. Like buying a Chick-fil-A is probably one of the cheapest franchises to purchase, but their selection process is so rigorous. I think it's easier to get into an Ivy League school. And they want you to
Yikes.
work in it for it's 3 to 5 years. You have to work there. Well, I just told you I don't want you to work a job. I want you to own a business. So I may not recommend that one if you're looking for time freedom. So
Mhm.
to reiterate, it's not the wrong way to do it. You just have to make sure it's the right way for you to do it.
Right. So, new skills, new you. How did you come up with that title, that concept?
One of my favorite life lessons I was taught is the only business is people. And I realized that if you can help the people grow, you help the business grow. If you take care of the people, you're taking care of the business. If you invest in your people, you're investing in business. And when I look back at those quantum leaps in my life, it was because I had learned and mastered a new skill or increased the level of a skill. So when I started selling cars, I was okay. I was, but as I mastered the skill, I started breaking records, started winning awards, back-to-back Presidents Club awards, and I was like, "Oh, what's the difference?" There's people that have been there longer than I have. They're arguing, you know, better at new skill. So then I leveraged that success into a management position. So I had to learn my leadership skills. And I took those, and I was president of the oldest Toastmasters club in Tennessee. And that started winning awards, and that started growing and setting records. And again, that was just one new skill. I didn't have any special talent that I was born with, except maybe the audacity to think I can be a better version than I was yesterday. And so that's where the business was born from. I was like, that's it. That's the one thing that anyone can do, is they can learn a new skill, and they can master it. And it takes as many repetitions as it takes, and they can transform their life. And of course, everything around you is transformed as well.
Mm. So as you were learning this process and new skill and really shifting your mindset, broadening how you were your perspective, what did you lose along the way to get to where you are now?
Shift. I heard.
Oh, is it breaking up?
Mind after that.
So as you were learning your processes, learning this new skill, broadening your perspective, what did you lose along the way to get to where you are now?
You know, trigger warning, anyone's dealt with addiction. In many of my life's adventures, I got charged with a DUI, right? Driving while intoxicated. And I'm really thankful for that experience, right? No one was hurt. You know, my insurance covered. There's two options. One of them was taking a year, and one took 30 days. I was like, fine, we'll do 30 days. I had to sit into, I think it was like a rehab program. And even though it was a one-time incident, I felt a little offended. I was like, why do I have to go through the rehab program? And the alcoholics rehab program hadn't started yet. So it's just the drug rehab program. So I was like, fine, I'll take this one. And so I'm sitting in there, and there's three really powerful things that happen. One, I could see into the future that the decisions you make today, we talk about new skills, but it works both ways. I can see in the future the decisions I'm making today, that's where I could end up. So, okay, I don't want to go that way. So let's make some different decisions. Number two, she said, you don't have to worry about being sober for the rest of your life. You just have to be sober today. And I was like, hold on a second. It's the same with any skill. You don't have to be the best tennis player, musician, singer, actor, painter, entrepreneur. You just have to be a little better today. And so that incremental growth, that was a really powerful lesson I learned from an unexpected place. And then the third thing, I thought was a little pessimistic, and I don't know if anyone caught it, because I remember looking up and looking around, you know, people are playing on their phones or doing whatever. But she said, you can't stop your addiction. And I was like, what? You know, this is supposed to be a rehab program. Why would you say that to someone that's struggling with addiction, right? But the second part was really powerful, and I hope that it's meaningful to those listening. The reason people relapse is they don't replace it with anything. So if you stop doing something, there's this gap, there's this empty time. You're going to fill it with what you're used to. You're going to go back to it. But she said, if you replace it with something, you'll never go back. And so you asked a really powerful question, like, what did you lose? You have to decide, is it more important to watch one more episode of Netflix or to read one more chapter in a book, right?
Ooh.
And I'm not saying you don't watch any Netflix, but right. Is it on Netflix? And I'm not even saying it should only be books, but is it does it match up with where you want to go, right? And so if you say, hey, I want to get in shape, right? I want to run a race. Are you willing to skip the drive-through once, right? Are you willing to meal prep? And those things aren't difficult, but they require you to make some different choices. And so this comes back to the new skills, new you. Your skills are a reflection of the decisions you make over and over again. And so I learned so much from that experience that I applied to my business is not to be, let's go back to sales. I don't need you to be me. I want you to be a better version of you. So that's going to be sending one more LinkedIn request. That's one more DM. That's making one more phone call. That's sending one more email. And those incremental changes based on small decisions have a compound effect on your life and business. And so what you give up is feeling tired. What you give up is the ups and downs, that feast and famine that so many people are used to. What you give up is the fear of rejection. What you give up is saying, I have to wait till payday. What you give up is being declined for that loan application. And you make space for good things in abundance, to hearing yes more often, to having to tell clients, hey, I've got to waitlist you. I don't have space. I'm hiring new team members. We're making space for, hey, you don't have to decide, get both. And you have space to say, hey, I'm taking this podcast from England because I wanted to spend time with my family. So one new skill will absolutely change your life.
So I'm writing down what you said. I need you to repeat it for me. Your skills are a reflection. And what else did you say?
Of the decisions you make consistently. And that's the thing.
That.
A lot of people, New Year's resolution is a perfect example. They'll make a decision one time, right?
Yeah.
They'll get a gym membership, but they'll never go to the gym. Right. They'll have a meal prep service, but they'll stop and get fast food.
Right.
And the thing is, there's nothing, well, be careful. Eating fast food once probably won't kill you. The challenge becomes, are you eating fast food more often than you're eating at home? Right. The question becomes, are you watching Netflix more than you're reading? Are you sleeping in more often than you're going for a walk around the park? Are you scrolling TikTok versus creating content that can attract clients, right? It's what you do consistently that gets you in trouble. What you do occasionally doesn't get you into too much trouble. And so that's where I found one small change. That's why I make sales simple. What's the smallest change that we can make that's going to make the biggest difference today and over time? So actually, I'll add this. I really don't want you to hear this message and be like, well, I lost my job. Bruce lost his job. Bruce went into sales, so I should go into sales. I don't want you to go into sales. I do know that that's one skill you can learn that can apply to any area of your life, any business that you choose to go into. Because I know if you can create revenue for your business, you can take care of all the other problems. I wish I could tell you you'll never have another problem again, but I don't lie to you. But I do know having a flat tire feels a lot different when you have $10 in your bank account versus $10,000 in your bank account.
Come on, somebody. Come on now. Yes.
That's what I want for you. I want all good things in abundance in your life and business. And it starts with making sales simple.
Wow. So we do have another question that's come into the chat where you had mentioned about purchasing a business. So they want to know, where would you learn about businesses that are available to be bought?
Okay. So I will shout out my boy, Roy Redd, R-E-D-D. He has a blog post, Buy, Build, Exit. And so he's an expert in my circle on mergers and acquisitions. So that's my resource. I'll share it with you as well. Tell them I sent you. But listen. Before you go buy a business, and you don't need $1 million to buy a business. Before you buy a business, you need to write down, where do you want to go? Where do you want to accomplish? So I do an exercise when I had a sales team. I asked them, I was like, hey, what do you want to accomplish from working at this job? And why? So I want to make a lot of money, right? I said, okay, great. How much money do you want to make? So they said a number. They said, I want to do 100,000 this year. All right, cool. So I was like, I'll do you one better. The end of the year, you have $100,000 in cash. How do you feel? And they're like, oh man, excited. Man, I'm fired up. I'm pumped. I said, okay, is that what you want to accomplish with the job? I said, yeah. I said, what if you couldn't spend the $100,000? And so they get real quiet. I said, sitting in your room, it's under the mattress, in the closet, it's not collecting interest. It's just sitting there. What do you do? And so, you get some real creative answers like, oh, well, I'll buy some Bitcoin, right? So no, you can't do anything with it. It's just going to sit there. You can look at it. And they're like, well, what's the point? I say, exactly. Mm-hmm. No one really wants money just to collect it like stamps or Pokemon cards, right? It's what are you going to do with the money? That's what we got to work for. So then I had them do the exercise that again. I was like, you have $100,000 extra. What do you do with it? So this exercise for you, listener, you've got all the money that you could possibly need or want. Your credit's perfect. What are you going to do with it? And that's what you need to work towards. That's how you base your decisions. So you might say freelance. You might just be a one-person agency. Maybe you have a couple of remote, or virtual team members. Mm-hmm. But don't start a plan until you know where you're going to end up.
Mm. Yo, Bruce. Oh my gosh. And I know y'all were not coming on here expecting all these nuggets like right out the gate. And it doesn't even feel like we've been on here for 30 minutes. My brain is just cycling through. They put in the comments, drop the mic. And that's why it's called the mic drop. Okay. That's what Bruce has done this entire time. What would you say, just if it's possible, generically, what would be one piece of advice or one suggestion that you would give a person, regardless of where they are in their business, where they are in their life? What would be a piece of advice that you would give them or a suggestion?
I love that question. My piece of advice is the same to every single person. How you administer advice might change based on your skills or ability. But I tell every person to read a book. And if you're physically capable, I do encourage you to have hard copies. So I got one right here, right?
Uh-huh.
So I want to break this down. After high school, the average American reads 0.8 books a year. And I'm sure that's gone down. So that means one of two things. It means it takes them 5 years to read 4 books. You can check my math. Or they're starting books and they're not finishing them. All you have to do to be above average is to read 1 book. And this is usually where people say, oh, well, I don't have time. Let's say a book is 210 pages. I think an average, let's just call it 300 pages. The average self-help book is right around 300 pages. All you have to do is read 10 pages a day. I have a good friend of mine, mildly dyslexic. 10 pages might take him about 15, 20 minutes. Okay. 1 episode of Seinfeld, you take 20 minutes, you read 10 pages every day, Sunday through Sunday. In 1 month, right, 30 days times 10 pages is 300 pages. And 1 month is 1 book. If there's 12 months in a year, that's 12 books. So in 10 pages, you can read 12 books in a year. Now, all of a sudden, you've done more than 1 year than the average American does in 15 years. And it takes you
Wow.
15 minutes. So here's the value of that. There's some discipline that happens in that consistency. You build a good habit. You practice something called deep work. We focus on one task at one time. I think you can appreciate that as productivity.
Yes.
Here's the shortcut. No, let's call it a fast track because there's no shortcut. You have to travel the distance, but you don't have to be the first person to travel the distance, right? So if you had to go from, let's say you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you want to make it to Los Angeles. You could go straight across 20 for a few days. Well, let's say you walk. I don't know how many months that might take you. Let's say you drive. That'll take you a few days. I've done that trip before. We got it done in 3 days. And I've flown before, and it takes you about 4.5 hours. It's the same distance. It's just how long you want to get there. So what does that have to do with reading? One of my favorite books is Good to Great. And he researches over a period of 50 years of data. It's about 4,000. So in 1 month, you can download 4,000 hours of research. That's a good deal. For $25 for 10 pages a day, I can learn what would have taken me a decade to study on my own in just 300 pages. Reading is probably the most powerful thing any individual can do to improve their state of being in their life. So the last part of my advice is, okay, well, Bruce, you tell me to read more books. What book should I read? Who do you want to become? Who do you want to end up as? So if you want to run a business, I would recommend Sales and Leadership, right? It's ironically not always just about the business part. If you want to be a better parent, read books on parenting. Right? If you want to be a world traveler, read books on world travel. If you want to learn a language, read books in another language, right? There's a lot of way to get that information, but having to sit still in one place and do one thing at a time makes book the most valuable resource and the most inexpensive way to transform your life.
Wow. I was not expecting that answer at all. But the way you broke it down, 15 minutes a day. That's all you've got to do, 7 days a week, 15 minutes, and you will get more done than when you said that the average person reads 0.8 books in a year, I was like, wait a second. My brain was confused. 0.8? Yikes. Yikes. So 2 more questions.
Sure.
Well, question and a comment. So it's interesting that you mentioned reading because you're also an author.
4 times. 4 times.
4-time published author. So what is your latest book? Tell us real quick about your latest book that you have out.
So you can grab the Better Questions Toolkit and or a copy of my latest book at askingbetterquestions.com, askingbetterquestions.com. And the title of the book is Better Questions, Better Clients. It's for founders, entrepreneurs, and people leaders who are looking to grow their business, but don't necessarily want to become a salesperson. I have another resource for folks that are looking for sales skills. So the most recent book, Better Questions, Better Client, explores that Better Questions framework and is really, I didn't mean to do this, but it's really a prequel to the next one where we're going to work on that personal development approach to sales and revenue growth. So this is really the foundation to help you say, okay, let's grow sales, let's grow the business. How do we do it efficiently? How do we do it affordably? And how do we do it sustainably in a way that lasts? So if you're like, I really like this Better Questions framework, you can go to askingbetterquestions.com, grab the claim the bonus, just put podcast in the code. Oh, I'm sorry, Nishika is the code. We made that one for you. All right. NICHICA. Grab the Better Questions Toolkit and talks about asking better questions and using Better Questions framework right away. That's no charge. That's a gift for you all for sharing part of your evening with us on this inaugural episode. I'm so excited. If you want to grab a copy of the book, that option is in there as well. You'll hear a lot of the stories I've shared today. Some that I didn't share. And one thing that I really want to thank all the supporters, they're in the front of the book that helped make it possible. We interviewed over 40 people from 6 different countries to help make this book possible. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I've got the website and the code in the comments as well as on the screen. So you all make sure you go out and grab your copy of the book. Don't forget to use the code Nishika, and it is spelled in the comments. Now, this is going to be my last question. I know it's really late, so I'm going to let you go. And I'm not going to say steal. I'm borrowing this from another podcast.
Okay.
I want you to think of a question, and I'm going to ask that question to the next person that I interview. I'm not going to tell you anything about that person or what they do, but I'm going to ask them your question.
Oh, that's clever. Well, I'm going to use question number 1 from the Better Questions framework is, who can you serve with excellence?
Who can you serve with excellence?
That should hopefully be a nice tee up for them. Hopefully they'll get some new clients from answering that question. Hopefully someone will see themselves in the answer and raise their hand to work with them.
And that's going to be, because I know who's coming up next, that's actually going to be a perfect question for them. So we're going to wrap this up. I don't see any more questions in the chat. Want to shout out Tanya from Clarkton, North Carolina, BPC in the house. Wanda Brooks, Greensboro, North Carolina. Flora Rodri, hello. You speaking my language, honey. Hello. And we thank you all, because I see more people watching, but everybody's not commenting in the chat. So definitely, if you are watching the replay, comment and let us know where you are watching us from. And we have the question, right? The askingbetterquestions.com website. Bruce, how can the people connect to you? Because I know they're going to want to reach out to you after all these nuggets you were putting down.
The best way is going to hit that askingbetterquestions.com, hit that claim bonus. You can get a little sneak peek of what it's like to work with me, some of my frameworks, and also get on the email list so you'll have a chance to book a call and we'll dive deeper. So askingbetterquestions.com is where everybody starts.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it. Askingbetterquestions.com. Feel free to share this video with the person that you know needs it. And everybody that you know needs to watch this video. So, Bruce, we thank you so much for chiming in with us all the way from the southern part of, you're in England? Father God. So I know you're finna go to sleep. Hallelujah. Sweet dreams to you. And y'all, make sure you connect with Bruce, get the book, get on his email list, because he is constantly dropping nuggets. Bruce, thank you so much. And we will connect with you later. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Peace. Cheers to your success on the podcast.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our first episode of the Minding My Business mic drop. Y'all have got to get the word out, because it is going up from here. Bruce came in and brought the fire, and next week I have some amazing guests that are going to give us even more. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, and make sure you share this video, because it's going to bless somebody who needed everything that Bruce was talking about. And also, listen, to connect with me, because again, I help you get to your future faster, the future that you are looking for, praying about, working hard for. I help you work smarter and get there faster. You can connect with me. Just send me a DM on Instagram, Nishika F. Melton. Send me a DM and I will add you to my list. You all have a blessed evening. I've enjoyed our time together. Take care.